Public Enemy, EPMD, N.W.A, the Geto Boys, and the Beastie Boys. 5 legendary groups. We're not deciding who belongs in the Hall of Fame. We're deciding who goes first. I'm Chad, that's BA, and this is GMBtv. The only one who gets to stay, BA, is the one who gets into GMBTV's Rap Hall of Fame first. Round number 1, BA. Whose catalog are you most willing to say goodbye to for the purposes of this show?
Before we jump this off, whatever I say, in the words of Ric Flair, like it or you don't, but learn to live with it, because it's the best thing going on a podcast today. I want to be like, it was hard and it was difficult and I really pondered over it, but I didn't, because y'all know me. Things just have a way of working themselves out. So for me, the catalog that the world can live without, believe it or not, it's N.W.A. That's right. I said what I said. You heard what I said. Here's why. They only had 2 albums as N.W.A. Straight Outta Compton is that album. And commercially, Ends for Life did better. But if you look at both of those catalogs, neither one of them is a complete no skip. N.W.A. gets more credit for the separation and the maturation of the artists and the things they did outside of the group. We said catalog, not song, not album, catalog.
You know who I thought about here for this spot? The Beastie Boys. And here's why. I know they got the first platinum album, but it was genre bending. They weren't rock, they weren't rap, they were in between. So I thought about them there just because their catalog wasn't quite so hip hop. But N.W.A. is your first cut, ladies and gentlemen. Which group, BA, had the least irreplaceable identity? That is, if they're gone, could somebody have occupied that space?
I think this is a great question. First of all, I love this category, because what you're asking is in the beginning when they dropped and we was like, yo, I've never heard nothing like that. Did we continue to hear things like that?
Right.
The answer is yes. Laid back funk loops sound great, but they are also replicated pocket in hip hop. So for me, the elimination here's got to be EPMD.
What I thought about EPMD with this was EPMD hit in a time when there was a lot of sound going around New York. And sound got swallowed up by people doing it after them, and we almost forgot about part of it.
I mean, if you think about the Tree, think about Redman, think about DOS Effects, Keith Murray, their style alone were more memorable and more complex than the tree they came from. That's why the elimination was simple.
Yeah, when they came out, they were speaking their own language, but very quickly, everybody around them was kind of speaking that language too.
Mm-hmm. Got a lot of groups like that.
Number 3, whose absence out of the remaining 3 that y'all see on the screen there changes hip-hop the least?
Pay attention to the question. And don't come here unless I send for you. Understand that. All right, so the simple answer is, when you lose a member and then you replace that member, are you better or worse? But most importantly, what happens when you lose all the members? Or the most memorable person is not memorable for the group, but their own individual body of work. My mind's playing tricks on me. Put the South, hear me when I say this, the South owes everything to the Geto Boys, because it forced the country to acknowledge the South. But the question was hip hop. And at this particular time, the Mecca was in New York. So for me, this cut here is the Geto Boys.
Yeah, we're only covering 88 to 92. And from 88 to 92, a lot of the country still didn't know who the Geto Boys were. They did play a giant part in the free speech fight. Oh, I got to say this too. We're talking about the Geto Boys here. What region of the country is Texas in?
I believe it is the southernest region.
So if it's southern, that means the country and got you crazy. Round 4, BA, we got 2 left, the Beastie Boys and Public Enemy. Of these final 2, if one never existed, which one could hip-hop survive without?
The answer is simple. It comes down to the Fat Boys had already did the crossover thing. Run DMC had already started to really do the crossover as far as intra-music style. What the Beastie Boys gave us was a punk rock group that could jump back and forth in and out of genre.
That means the Beastie Boys have been eliminated, and the final group, and I am so happy to say this, the final group, the winner, is Public Enemy. Plenty of people have made political rap. Plenty of people have made aggressive rap. And plenty of people have made like crazy ass imagery. But at that time, before or after, nobody's been able to do what they did. Nobody could duplicate Public Enemy. That's why, to me, Public Enemy is right at the top as most important folks in the whole game, in the whole industry. Because still, even if they're not making albums, Chuck and Flavor Flav are still important.
You want me to tell you how you know that nobody could do what PE could do? Because it wasn't financially marketable to the industry. Because the industry had to make a decision. Is this the message I want to throw money behind? You need to understand the industry spent as much money as it could to vary what Public Enemy was trying to do. To the point that the government jumped on board to help. But I will say this, Flav and Chuck is like your mean grandpa that went through both wars, the civil rights movement.
You talking about grandpa, the little shell shock, you don't make quick movements around him?
He keep a pocket knife on him. And Flavor Flav is his youngest child. He is your youngest uncle. Chuck rapped, it was never a rap to me. When Chuck rapped, it was a life lesson. It was sit your little young ass down here. But the category says, if they're the last team standing, one record, no resume, no second choice. The record is simple. Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. He was straight up racist. The sucker was simple in play, motherfucking and John Wayne. Fight the power. There's never been a bigger message than that.
No, that is one of those. Fight the power is 3 words you can drop and just leave the room. Like, argue against that. I mean, argue against a more important song in rap than Fight the Power.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. Don't get me wrong. Self-destruction, cool. Stop the violence. Fame game, cool. But the magnitude of both of those projects didn't hit like that one song. And you got to admit, both those projects had 15 artists on it. So if y'all are trying to figure out why I said what I said, how we got to where we got to, think about that. Think about that from a financial standpoint. That was the industry going, oh, I'll throw millions of dollars as long as y'all are fighting and killing and selling drugs and calling each other bitches and hoes, and we'll throw billions behind that. But what I won't put a dollar behind is all this make the government pay what they owe and 40 acres and a mule and the pulling back the curtain of the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
Hey, it's 2026, so we can change it to say the revolution will not be monetized.
Facts.
That's what it is. You can't monetize revolution. All right, that's it, y'all. Public Enemy. And they will advance to our season finale. Drop down in the comments as usual. Tell us where we went wrong. We'll catch y'all next week. I'm Chad. That man is BA. And we out.